Ron, I understand that you recorded with John Lennon. Can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah. How much time do we have? Yeah, 1974, he did an album called Walls and Bridges. Mm-hmm. And I was fortunate to get a call to be part of his horn section. He used 5 horns. And called us the Little Big Horns. And I think that was his first album. I'm pretty sure that was his first album with horns. This is, of course, after he had left the Beatles, and he was also, him and Yoko had split up, and he was living with May Pang at the time. May Pang, as it turns out, we're still very, very close friends. In fact, she lives in Forest Hills, not too far from us.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and but the album with John was great. He was going through a really good period. May had him kind of all straightened out, I think, and cleaned up, and he was basically hooked on fruit drinks and health food and stuff. He was going through a very healthy period, and he looked great, and he was really a sweet guy to work with, and so was May. I mean, it was just two of the nicest people I think I've ever worked with. And the project was different. It was a little scary for me, since there was no music, 5 horns, no music, and so it was all head stuff. A lot of the rock horn players were used to that. They would make up these things as they go, but making them up in a studio is kind of weird because time is money, and there's a lot of hitting and missing going on. So I was a little uncomfortable with that, and it took me a couple of sessions to really kind of get the flow and feel more comfortable. So I'm not sure, it was a couple of weeks we probably spent. We were doing a lot of sessions, triple sessions, and we would finish those sessions 1 or 2, sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning. This was in the summertime, and after the sessions, him and May would be walking to their apartment, and it was in the same direction as the subway, and I would walk with them, and we had that's when I really got to know John, during those midnight. I shouldn't say the middle of the night walks, and I was very impressed with how friendly he was and how open he was with everybody. He waved to truck drivers and kneeled down and talked to homeless people, and I'm thinking, wow, that's great, and I appreciated that, but I was worried for him. 1974, there's a lot of crime and no bodyguards, no way of protecting him. So I'm thinking, this is kind of a dangerous lifestyle that he's living here, and I was a little bit worried about that. But I appreciated his friendliness with everybody, and he seemed to get a good feel out of surprising people. People turn on and say,
Wait, was that John?
John Lennon. He would just smile and put his arm around him. Yeah, man, it's me. But one story I guess I should tell is the Photostat story. Since we had no music, I was photostatting some of his lead sheets. Lead sheets, for the people who don't know, are sheets with the vocal part and the chords, and the key, of course, that you're in. And it gives us an idea of what we're doing, what kind of tune we're playing. It helps us come up with some ideas to play the horn parts. So I grabbed his lead sheets, and I went into another room and photostated them for each member of the horn section. 5 of us, so I'd make 5 copies of each lead sheet. But I'm in the middle of copying these sheets, and John comes walking in the room, walks over to the photostat machine, takes the music out, sticks his face in, and he hits the button. And Steve was with me, Steve and David, trumpet player, and we looked at each other like, what is he doing? And like, whoa, and the lights went off, and we're covering our eyes, and he's got his face right in it.
Crazy.
So 2 blinding lights later, a couple of photostat pitches come sliding out with his nose a little flat and his glasses still on and everything. And he takes them and he hands one to Steve and he hands one to me. And he says, hang on to these. He says, someday these are going to be worth a lot of money. And he walks out of the room, and Steve and I are looking at each other. What's going on? Guy risks his eyesight to hand us a couple of photostats. But, and I was still kind of like a little tense about the session, and I'm not sure I even appreciated as much as I should have what just happened. So I rolled it up. I stuck it in my saxophone case, and we went back in and finished the session. And I didn't realize until probably a day or two later, I pulled it out of my case. I said, this is really pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I put it in a frame, and it's been hanging on my wall since 1974. You know?
Well, I have a copy of that copy.
I know.
Yeah,
I
thank
know.
you very much for that great gift. I really appreciate it.
And that's kind of the reason you guys met originally, because many years later, you had gotten a call to do that return to Bangladesh thing. Kenny Forgione had given you a call, and he got you back with May Pang, reacquainted. And that was the night that Ginger was there. She was covering the show.
That's right.
Also, and came back and asked you to do a show with her. And then the reason he ended up doing the album, I think, is really because you started, he came out, he knew you liked the Beatles. He had done a little arrangement on Imagine that he played for your show. And when he came off the stage, you were crying. And he thought, wow, he said there is an audience for people
yes.
for this kind of music. Even with that jazz influence, people just love the song so much. There's so much a part of their history and their life. So thank you.
And you went on to make a new album. You made you did a research of all of John's songs
Exactly.
and how they could be translated into a jazz format.
Yep.
And then created that. And you're on the album. And
Oh, just for a little smidgen of time.
and your son too.
That's well, Matt. Sure, our son Matt. Ron wrote all these wonderful obligatos.
Well, we had a
and
string
so on.
section.
We had and a string section.
I put a full string section on
Beautiful
that album.
piece of
and-
work.
And I put my kid to work, and he sounded great.
Yeah, it's a wonderful contribution to the jazz world, and I understand that you got written up a lot of PR from that album.
Yeah, well, it was up for Grammy.
And you got a 4-star.
I
Review
got
from
a
Downbeat.
4-star
That's
review
great.
from Downbeat. That was my Grammy. I didn't win a Grammy, but if I had a choice of a 4-star review in Downbeat or a Grammy, I would take the 4-star review in Downbeat.
That's
and
great.
you got it.
I was really, really pleased that they liked that album because it was a little risky, taking tunes that were, rock tunes, and also adding strings. There's something about jazz albums with strings that usually get panned. I know Charlie Parker, when he recorded with strings, the reviews were terrible, and not too many jazz artists have had luck recording with strings. But I didn't care. I was doing what I was hearing. I was hearing strings, and I said, I'm going to do the album. So when I got that review, I was really pleased.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. We're going to need to wrap up our show. It's so wonderful to have you here, and Angela for
Thanks for
joining me
inviting me
as
to
my
be part of
co-host, my co-pilot.
Thank you.
We were pretty easy on you, weren't we?
No black and blue marks.
I'll work them over at home later. It's okay. We're going to be.
Well, let me just say
Doing
this.
the big thing.
It's always easy being on your show. You
Oh,
are so
great.
to
Wonderful.
to do these kinds of things with. I mean, it's so comfortable, and thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for
very
inviting
much.
me too. It was a pleasure.
So how do people find you? Where can people buy your book, your album? And you also, I understand, have an upcoming show at Birdland. That's exciting. Can you tell us about that?
It was confirmed 10 minutes before we came on the air. Actually, this is all. Yeah, I've been wanting to officially release this book at Birdland. We were playing at Birdland kind of regular before the pandemic. We had finished our 4th performance there, and after I wrote the book, I'm thinking, boy, it would be so nice to have a big release party at Birdland. Wouldn't that be cool? So we just got the call this morning. Because of the pandemic, no big bands have really been doing much at Birdland right now. So and January 9th, I believe,
Sunday, January 9th at 5:30, I think is the show.
5:30, I'll be there with my big band, with Angela, and we're going to have a big book release
Congratulations.
on that day. Yeah.
Thank you.
I
You'll
don't-
be there?
I almost said, yes, I've already got it in my calendar, right?
Cool.
Very good. Congratulations. And where do people find you? Where's your website?
Yeah, my website, www.ronaprea, RONAPREA.com.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Physical copies and ebooks now. We have ebook downloads that you can get. So,
Wonderful.
yeah, and
It's a-
lots of wonderful pictures And that, I think, is really the neat part of it all right? Everything's
Yeah.
documented with
Yeah.
photographs, which is cool.
And a lot of them came from Ginger, New York, too.
That's
So thank
right.
you.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving me a chapter in your book. That's wonderful. Okay. So I just want to thank everyone for joining in to this afternoon's show of Ginger, New York. Make sure you get out and buy the book, The Era I Almost Missed, by Ron Aprea. Aprea! I got it. And thank you again, Angela, for joining in this
Thank you,
afternoon's
Ginger.
show. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.